Hi, this is Willem for Solar Intelligence yet again. Today doing the next video in our series of how to. Today the question is how to select your solar installer. And again, as always, we're going to try to be as truthful as we can. I might be stepping on some toes, but our interest is with you, the consumer, that you get the best value for your money. So we're going to call it as it is and give you the facts as they are, that you can make your decision as to the way forward. Right, starting off with the solution that we're proposing. As per in the previous videos, we've assumed that this is a residential installation and it's a hybrid installation, both with solar panels and with a battery to offer you some backup. So that is typically an installation that will get integrated into your house. Integrated into your house means that the output of the inverter will be connected directly to your distribution board of your house, so that there's automatic and seamless transfer between Eskom power and battery power. So when Eskom fails, as it does, then automatically the system will go over to battery, and then vice versa, obviously. And Eskom then can also be used to charge the battery, should that be necessary. So that means that there will have to be some adjustments and some work done in your electrical distribution board in your house. And that is only allowed to be done by a qualified electrician. There are many regulations that dictate that or that regulate that. And Department of Labour actually this specifies that quite clearly. The SANS 11142, the electrical installation regulations, they're very clear on it. Only a qualified electrician is allowed to work on electrical installation. Now, what is a qualification? What is the qualifications? Electrician qualification, which means it's a red seal. So that person will have to have attended the necessary classes, done necessary exams, and then qualify as an electrician. That's step number one. What is the risk if somebody that is not qualified as an electrician works in your house? Well, the safety risk, your own health, you and your family in your house, that's a safety risk. And obviously, if something does go wrong and you submit an insurance claim, if there's proof that somebody was allowed to work in the distribution board, you are the owner of the house, so you allowed that to take place, then your insurance might have something to say about approving your insurance claim. Right, so after that, obviously installation takes place. Talking about regulation, after the installation is completed, an electrical COC or a certificate of compliance needs to be issued for that particular installation. So it doesn't mean it needs to be an installation or rather a COC for the entire house. It's just a compliance certificate for that addition or that addendum that was made to the house. So the new COC will have to be issued, and that COC can only be issued by a qualified installation electrician. So this electrician that has done further exams is called an installation electrician or a wireman's license. Again, some exams, fairly comprehensive exams that the electrician have to successfully complete to actually get the certification. Only if you have that certification as a wireman or as an installation electrician are you allowed to issue the certificate of compliance. You have to have that certificate of compliance. The same logic holds that if you have an insurance claim and you do not have a COC for that installation, then you might not be successful with your insurance claim. And then lastly, from a regulatory point of view, is registration with the ECA. The ECA is the Electrical Contractors Association. That's an association where an installation electrician will go and register himself. He'll become a member of the ECA. He'll be issued with the necessary paperwork that he can actually then issue the compliance certificates. And again, regulations are quite clear that one is not allowed to do electrical installations if you're not a member of the ECA. So I know that is going to exclude the majority of solar installers out there, because you have to have your own IE or installation electrician employed by you on your books. So many of the installers out there will not have that. All right, and then other third-party qualifications. One being the SAPVIA PV Green Card certification. You probably have heard of it. It's probably the most popular one. I'm a lecturer at one of the academies that lecture new installers to present the PV Green Card. And I must advise that often we have some students that sleep through many of the lectures, actually most of the lectures. So just the qualification itself, in my view, is not really powerful. Only after you've done the necessary training with the PV Green Card, one of the PV Green Card courses. By the way, it's a 5-day course that covers a vast range of topics, including business management, basic electricity, basic of solar panels. We do some design and engineering work as well. Only after you've done those 5 days, and there are no exams on that course. It's simply just a course that you do, and you get the participation certificate. Then after that course, you then register for the 2 exams. There's 2 exams. One is a practical exam. We have to do an installation, an inspector installation. You work with a team, and that gets assessed in working as a team, working with tools, etc. And then there's a fairly comprehensive, I think it's a 3-hour theoretical exam as well that one has to complete. That exam was put together many years ago, I think in 2017 if I'm not mistaken, so it's fairly old already. Some of the material is a little bit outdated, and most of the exam is focused on grid tie system, pure grid tie systems. And you remember pure grid tie systems, as we discussed in one of our previous recordings, videos on YouTube. You'll remember that a pure grid tie system does not include any batteries and storage or battery backup. So there's a big gap in the PV Green Card exams. I do hope that those exams will change rather soon. Okay, so I mentioned the one is SAPVIA, the PV Green Card. There's another one is AREP, African Rainbow Energy Partners. They have a P4 certification, and the P4 certification, I believe that you have to renew every year. I did mine many years ago, in I think 2017, and I have not renewed it. And it's actually, I think it's a good thing that you have to renew it every year, so that you can stay abreast of technology, and as the landscape changes, especially the regulatory framework. And then from a product specific certification as well, I know both SunSync and Victron, they have their own process in which they will certify installers. So either you can be an approved or a certified installer with Victron and or SunSync. Those are the only 2 that I'm aware of, maybe a Solar Edge as well, but that's for more for commercial systems. We can actually do the qualification with the actual supplier or the manufacturer of that inverter. So that's quite nice to have. So what does this all mean to you, the homeowner, that you want to have your solar system installed? Well, these are suggestions that we have that you should actually ask your installer. Just make sure that he has an electrician, a qualified electrician that does the work in distribution board, that he has a qualified wireman that can issue the certificate of compliance. And again, the SUNS, the standards 10142 that dictates the wiring of premises indicates that the wireman must be on site. So it cannot be just somebody that quickly pops in and give you a piece of paper. That person obviously has to have an intimate knowledge as to how that installation went. Then qualification or registration with the ECA, Electrical Contractors Association, maybe some third-party qualifications like SAPVIA, the PV Green Card, and the P4 certification with AREP, and then lastly the actual product certification. So if the person is going to install a SunSync inverter, well, have you done that before? How many have you done? What is your qualification with SunSync or Victron, whatever other product you install? All right, so that is just purely objective measurements and testing. There's no subjectiveness in that. It is measurable, tested. You can test it, you can see it, and you can ask for the certificates. All right. Then the next question one needs to ask the installer is, or yourself before you choose the installer, is you expect this installation to last for the next 15, 20, maybe 25 years. So surely in that 25 years, you are going to need some support, at least an annual inspection where you need to check the wiring and the cabling and make sure the panels are still secure and all your fuses are still intact and the lightning arresters that must have been installed are still good and intact and working the way they should. So you must at least have an annual check of your system to make sure everything is just fine. It's like your vehicle, it's like a car. Make sure that you take care of it. It will then look after you as well. So if you install, if you select an installer and you expect him to still be around the next 10, 15, maybe 20 years, well then how can you ensure, or what measures can you put in place to reduce the risk of that installer disappearing in a year or two after later he's not available anymore? We get calls all the time, and many installers will recite the same, that we get calls from customers saying, my system is not working, I can't get hold of my installer anymore. So the installers come and go quite a bit. So maybe try to find ways in which you can test an installer, or at least ascertain if that installer is here for the long run, or is he just there out there to make a quick buck, or is he still going to be around in the next 5 or 10 years? So we call it corporate maturity, and we have a way in which we assess installers, and we're actually grading that. We're releasing some products soon that we will list installers, that you can see their star rating. We'll put a star rating to that. So we call it corporate maturity. What is corporate maturity? Well, does that person or that installer have a registered business that does the installation. So it could be a CC or a PTY. It's not just a sole proprietor or person with a bucky that's now doing installations. Is it a business that is registered with a business address? You can drive, you can see this person is real, maybe check on his website. Does the person have a website? Does he have a VAT number? Does he have a company registration number? And what is his physical address? Is he working out of his garage, or is the installer that has at least a proper presence that will give you just a bit more security and comfort that the installer is going to be around for the next couple of years, that he can look after the system, especially when it starts getting a bit older, that somebody can look at that system and maybe upgrade it from time to time. And then maybe from a risk point of view, have you ever thought about it, that the installer is working at your house, he's working on the roof, he's working around the house. If he drops a ladder on your brand new German sedan that you bought your wife, and he drops a ladder or a solar panel on that vehicle, who is going to pay for that? Whose insurance is going to cover that? Surely your insurance is not going to cover that. Your insurer will come after the installer to get the installer to cover that, or the installer's insurance. If he doesn't have contractor's liability insurance, that's what we call it, contractor's liability insurance. If he doesn't have that, well, then he's going to fork it out himself. Does he have that means? If he doesn't have that means, he doesn't have that insurance in place, then you're at risk. Or if he works on the roof and he causes some damage on the roof and things go wrong, and the roof starts leaking, the rainy season comes and the roof starts leaking, and the water messes up your beautiful Persian carpet and you suffer damages, who's going to cover those losses? And the insurance, or your insurance, will try to recover that cost then from the installer that caused the damage. So even after the installer is off site, maybe a year or 2 or 3 later, there could still be some repercussions from that installation. So again, what we suggest is just dig a little bit deeper. Don't just take the cheapest quote and run with that to get away with spending as little as possible. And then we can talk about installer experience and expertise. Now that's always my mantra, where we suggest, or as an installer, I always say that we don't sell time, we sell experience and expertise that we've experienced. We've done this for more than 10 years. We've got the expertise. We've done all the different brands. We've done all the training. So we're selling experience and expertise. And that's what I'm hoping that the market will catch on to, that you as the consumer will not try and wrestle the last few cents out of that installer, pay him what is due. And that goes a bit further as well, So if the installer covers just enough to make 10 rands off the project, or just 1,000 rand off the project, he doesn't have anything in the pocket left that if you call for some support, that he can actually afford to come and give you some support. So my hope is that the more experienced and the more qualified installers that are playing the rules, that are staying compliant, and are making sure that they're following the regulatory framework, that those installers will charge a little bit more for their services, because it's the right thing to do. If you have a qualified person that works on your vehicle, is a qualified, let's say you've got a German sedan, fancy vehicle, you don't want somebody that has no experience and no training to work on your vehicle and do an engine change. And you want the experience, you want the expertise to look after your vehicle. The same way with the solar system, maybe even more so with the solar system, but I'll touch on that just now. So make sure that the installer is not somebody that has no depth when it comes to installations. And we're talking about every house being different. Not all houses are the same, and that's a fact. The consumption, yes, there are similarities from house to house, but not every house is the same. The consumption at night time, the consumption at daytime, what time you get up, what time you go to bed, what the base load is at night, what the base load is in daytime. Those are all different parameters that are very, very important to make sure that the system that you're putting together is done properly. So we call it a needs analysis, do a proper needs analysis. So you'll also pick up from the previous recordings that we've done how to size your battery, how to size your solar panels, how to select your inverter. Those are all videos that are really important, and they all come back to, one is to understand what the customer's expectation and budget is, and then you need to select the right products to actually, or the right products, A, the brand, and then B, what size and what a ratio combination between products. The best ratio will be to actually meet the needs of the customer. So if your installer does not have that experience, then there's no guarantee that you're going to get something that is predictable. Will this system give me the backup that I need? Will the system harvest enough energy to address my needs? So if there's no proper needs analysis done, then it's guesswork. And you probably have, and if you've asked for quotations before from a solar installer, often the installer will ask, just show me your electricity bill and I can do a quotation for you on that. Now, for any solar installation, you need at least 3 design criteria. That is, what is your total consumption in 24 hours? Now, for that, your electricity bill can do the job. So if I know how many units you are consuming in a month, it's quite simple math, divide by 30, and I know how many units you are consuming per day. The next 2 questions is, what is your peak demand? So what is the concurrent items that are on at the same time? What is that peak demand? Is it 2 kilowatts, 3 kilowatts, 5, maybe 8 kilowatts? You don't know unless you either do the math, you do a calculator like we've shown before, that you do a little addition, a sum, a little calculation of which are all the items that are on at the same time, work out what the power consumption is, and that'll tell you what size the engine must be. Remember the analogy with a little truck that goes up the hill? You need to know what size the engine must be. So, first of all, energy in 24 hours. That we can get from your electricity bill. Secondly, how many items are on concurrently, and that will tell you what size the inverter must be. And then lastly, what size the battery must be. How many items do I have that I want on backup for how long? So if you want the lights, TV, fridge, air conditioner, alarm system, electric fence, safety lights, whatever it could be, if you want all those items to be on for 3 or 4 or 5 hours, what size must the battery be? So those are all calculations and defined parameters that you have to do a proper design so that you get a system that will perform like you expect it to perform. So obviously, as an installer, we always make sure that we meet the customer's demands. So we need to understand exactly what are your needs, what are your expectations. We have to design a solution to address that. And then secondly, once we understand what you're looking for, what is your budget? Can you afford it? Now, often I don't ask somebody straightforward, what is your budget? I'll listen and understand what the customer's requirement is, and then I'll suggest and say, maybe if we do a solution like that, it will be in the vicinity between 100 and 150,000 Rand. And then obviously the customer has, so you as the customer have the freedom to say, yes, that's fine, it's in my budget, or no, it's a little bit too steep, or whatever the case may be. The point I'm trying to make is you cannot just look at somebody's electricity bill and from that decide you need a 5 kilowatt inverter, a 5 kilowatt hour battery, and 10 panels on the roof. It doesn't work like that. Then you're going to get a solution that may or may not address your requirements. Then the selection of the products. Now there's a wide range of products out there. Some are more complicated than others. Many installers avoid certain brand names. I know Victron is one brand name. It is probably one of the best inverters that is available in the market. It's a little bit more pricey, but heck, it's got a lot of functionality and it's really, really a smart inverter. And they're really as tough as bullets. Also, they're bulletproof, is that the right expression? So many installers avoid that product because it's complicated, that they don't actually want to get stuck with these inverters. So make sure that if you appoint an installer, that installer has enough depth so that he can select the right product to be the solution to your unique needs. Yes, if you have a very straightforward house and there's nothing special, you don't need to run air conditioner or you have high peak loads or have big motors or pumps or things that are starting, then the typical high frequency hybrid inverter can probably do the job for you. But make sure that your installer at least has enough understanding of the ratio between the systems. Remember how to size your system. One of the other videos we did, that the ratio between solar panels, the battery capacity and the inverter capacity, those all needs to be in the right ratio to make sure it's a balanced system, as we call it. And that's now the sub-sizing or the sizing of the subsystems. And remember the 3 subsystems, the PV generator, which is the solar panels, the battery storage system, which is obviously the battery, and then the engine or the power electronics, which is the inverter. So those 3 subsystems have to be in the right ratio to address your requirements and to make sure it's an efficient and optimum system. Right. Then last, cheaper is not better, as a matter of fact. You know, my dad said, if it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. In Afrikaans, goedkoop koop is duur koop. That's a fact. If you buy it cheaply, you're going to buy it twice. Cheaper is not better. You know, often we get a customer coming to us, putting a quote on our table saying, beat this quote, Willem, and you can have this opportunity. I elect to walk away from that rather. Often I see quotations where the sum of the quotation is cheaper than my cost price. Now, we've been in this market a long time, so we know that the pricing that we get is fairly reasonable or attractive. So if somebody can actually do the installation cheaper than what we can actually buy the products, there's something wrong. It sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Maybe some shortcuts. Are all the components that they are selecting, are they proper solar components, or is it something that gets made in the back in the garage somewhere? Are all the components there, the safety components, all the fuses, all the circuit breakers, are they all in place? The surge protectors on the AC side, surge protectors on the DC side to protect the equipment and the people inside the house with the circuit breakers and earth leakages, etc. So there's a lot that needs to go into the product that is not obvious And here's the challenge, and that's all one of my expressions too, is you don't know what you don't know. So if you're a new installer and you've got 5 or 10 installations behind you, one might think that you have cracked the nut and you are now on speed and you are offering the best product that's available out there, but you don't know what you don't know. And the learning school is a long, hard road of doing installation after installation. Okay, so what are we saying? Regulator compliance. The installer's longevity, is he going to be here in 5 years or so? Cheaper is not better. Choosing the correct product. So quite a bit needs to go into this. And then lastly, the craftsmanship. Is this person qualified and does he have experience to do a proper, neat installation? You know, not anybody can build beautiful furniture. Not like a solar system is beautiful furniture, but I'm sure you've seen some very impressive looking installations on Facebook and all the social media. And that's what it is. It's craftsmanship. And one is to have pride in what you do, so that when you leave the site, you have not defaced the building or defaced the garage, wherever you've done the installation. That the installation must be done neatly and properly. Does the person offer a warranty, and are his installations of a high quality? Ask for some photographs. Show me 10 of your installations. I would like to see what they look like, and pay some attention looking at the photographs to see if that is something that you can accept, the quality of work that this person does. Warranty claims, same story. If that installer is not around 3 or 5 years later, who will do the warranty claims for you? If there's a warranty claim, something goes wrong with one of the inverters that's still under guarantee, or maybe the solar panels, even 10 years, 15 years later, who's going to do that for you? Will the installer still be around? And was the installation done in such a way that the warranty will be respected? Now, maybe just a note on that. Solar panels, the installation manual of solar panels is very particular on how high the panel needs to be off the roof, how far apart from one another the solar panels must be, in which the areas they must be clamped. Are they just on the short sides or the long sides, how far from the edge? So there are quite a few conditions to make sure that the warranty will be honored if ever there's a warranty claim. So if your installer does not have that experience and he doesn't pay heed, doesn't read the manuals, then it might install the panels flat on the roof. And I've seen it so many times. People say, but Dad, it looks so nice. Look at the panels lying flat on the roof. That is actually not within the warranty of most of the manufacturers. As a matter of fact, I haven't seen one manufacturer that allows the panels to lie flat on the roof like that. They get too hot, they overheat, and then the backing sheet of the panel actually separates off the panel, and the warranty is forfeited. People cutting off the connectors off the edge of the cables. When you cut the cable, cut any of the connectors off, warranty is gone. If you drill a hole in the frame, the warranty is gone. There are so many conditions, so many small bits and pieces that if you don't know, well, you don't know what you don't know. Make sure your installer is somebody that has gone to school, done the work, and has had enough experience. And that's a good question. What is enough experience? Now, I used always the example of a vehicle, a motor car. Who would you allow to do an engine change on your vehicle? Well, I'm sure you're not going to take somebody off the street that says, yeah, you know what, I've got a few spanners in my garage, I can do an engine change. It's not like that. You want somebody that is trained by that manufacturer and certified by that manufacturer to do work on that machine, so that if there's another warranty claim in the future, that at least you've got some backing saying that, but it was a properly qualified person that did the maintenance on this vehicle. So what are the risks? And here's my last point on this video before it gets too long. What are the risks if the installer does not do a good job? Well, first of all, your safety is at risk. You've seen many photographs, many pictures, and probably read in the newspapers about solar system catching a light. And we've done a short little video now recently just showing how that arc from solar panels, how intensely that light burns. It's like a welding machine, and it easily puts wood on fire, wood alight. So that's the risk. The risk of putting your house on fire. Secondly, things going wrong electrically in the house, and somebody gets hurt or something burns. Then after that, there's a bit of nuisance that come with that. The inverter is tripping all the time. The battery doesn't last. The battery shuts down. The inverter is not big enough. Those are all the frustrations. And then the warranty claims. If things go wrong and the installation was done incorrectly, well, then you're most likely going to suffer with the warranty being denied. So a lot said about solar installers. We are all for, I'm all for, and we're supporting in improving the quality of installations in South Africa. There are some stories, some horrific stories out there of things going wrong, and we're making our effort to just put some standards down and make some knowledge available to like yourself. Watch this video, understand what your risks are, and how you can protect yourself a little bit better. Not wanting to step on anybody's toes, but the objective is to make sure that the quality of installations are getting better as we move forward. All right, thank you for your time. As always, you know, the thumbs up and the subscriptions and the ringing of the bells and all that. Do that. We are continuing the series of how to. We're starting to introduce the practical installation as well for our DIY videos. Physically, how do I install solar panels on my tile roof, or an IBR, or a clip block, or how do I install my inverter, how to wire up the panels. The next video we're doing is how to wire my system, talking about crimping of cables and selecting of solar protection components and safety components. But come join us, come back for some more videos, subscribe so that you can be notified when we do the next video. See you. We love the earth, it is our